What if the most dangerous place for your finances isn't your bank account, but a dinner table? Picture this. You're at a small dinner gathering. Someone casually mentions they've maxed out their retirement account for the 10th year in a row. Another talks about a rental property they bought last summer. A third casually drops a brokerage milestone you didn't even know existed. And you're silently wondering whether the amount sitting in your retirement account even counts as real savings. You smile, nod, and take another sip of your drink. But later that night, lying in bed, the conversation replays in your head. How did everyone else figure this out? Did I miss something? Am I already behind? Here's the truth no one at that table will admit. A lot of what you heard wasn't the full story. The rental property owner didn't mention the months of vacancy. The confident investor didn't say that a portion of their portfolio came from inheritance. The disciplined saver didn't mention the debt they're quietly paying off. Dinner conversations highlight victories, never the complications behind them. And there's an even bigger problem. Most of the financial benchmarks people compare themselves to were created for an economy that no longer exists. They were designed decades ago when housing was cheaper, tuition was lower, and single-income households were common. Yet we still measure ourselves against those outdated milestones and feel like we're failing if we don't match them. So let's reset the conversation. Traditional advice says that by age 40, you should have about 3 times your annual salary saved for retirement. If you earn $80,000, that suggests $240,000 in retirement accounts. It sounds reasonable until you look at the real numbers. Data from the Federal Reserve shows that the median retirement savings for Americans aged 35 to 44 is roughly $45,000. Median means half of people have less than that. That completely changes the perspective. If you have $60,000 or $100,000 saved by 40, you may feel behind, but statistically, you're already ahead of many people. However, the goal isn't simply to be average. Average often leads to retiring later than planned and relying heavily on uncertain systems. The real objective is long-term financial security, and that depends more on trajectory than on your current number. So, what actually matters by age 40? First, retirement momentum. A realistic and meaningful target is roughly 1.5 to 2 times your annual salary invested by 40. That level doesn't mean you're finished saving. It means you're positioned for compounding to work effectively through your peak earning years. Even moderate balances can grow significantly over 20 to 25 years when consistent contributions continue. Second, eliminate an high-interest consumer debt. Credit cards charging 18 to 25% interest are the financial equivalent of running uphill on a treadmill. Every month, a balance remains. Compounding works against you instead of for you. Paying off those balances creates an immediate, guaranteed return that few investments can match. Third, maintaining an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. This isn't optional comfort money. It's financial shock absorption. Job disruptions, medical bills, or unexpected repairs happen to everyone, and without a buffer, even disciplined savers are forced back into debt cycles. Fourth, income progression. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, peak earning years typically occur between the mid-40s and early 50s. If your income hasn't meaningfully grown since your early 30s, the most powerful financial move you can make may not be cutting expenses. It may be upgrading skills, repositioning your career, or specializing in areas where compensation grows faster. Now, here's the insight that surprises many people. Starting late does not automatically put you at a disadvantage. Starting passively does. Consider two simplified examples. One person begins investing at 25, contributing small amounts consistently, but never increasing contributions significantly. Another waits until 40, but invests aggressively, contributing much larger amounts each month as their income rises. Over a 25-year period, the second person often accumulates more wealth despite starting later. The difference comes down to contribution intensity. How much money is deployed during the years when income is strongest? Your 40s can actually be the most powerful decade for building wealth because several factors align. Earning potential is higher, career direction is clearer, and many early life expenses begin to stabilize. Larger contributions invested consistently over this period can dramatically change long-term outcomes. Yet many people never take advantage of this window because of what I call financial paralysis. Feeling behind creates embarrassment. Embarrassment creates avoidance. Avoidance delays action, and delay widens the gap further. Months turn into years, not because people lack intelligence, but because the starting point feels uncomfortable. Momentum solves that problem, not perfect planning. Momentum. One small action taken within the next 48 hours can change your trajectory. Increasing retirement contributions by 2%, automating a monthly transfer into savings, consolidating high-interest debt, or beginning a targeted skill upgrade that leads to higher earnings. None of these steps is dramatic alone, but together they create compounding behavioral change, the kind that shapes financial outcomes over decades. Another critical factor is specialization in your career. Generalists often compete with thousands of candidates for the same roles, while specialists compete with far fewer. Developing one high-value expertise that clearly differentiates, you can increase both income stability and earning power, which directly expands your ability to invest and save. Financial strategies work faster when income rises, because each percentage saved represents a larger absolute amount. Equally important is building a professional network before you need it. Careers change unexpectedly, companies restructure, industries evolve, opportunities disappear. Having relationships with colleagues, mentors, and recruiters acts as an insurance policy, helping you transition faster and maintain income continuity if disruptions occur. Income diversification also plays a protective role. Even modest secondary income streams, consulting work, small digital products, investment income, or freelance projects, create breathing room during employment changes. The goal isn't instant wealth from side projects. It's reducing dependence on a single paycheck. For those already in solid financial shape, the danger shifts from falling behind to becoming complacent. Lifestyle expansion often accelerates just as earnings peak. Larger homes, higher monthly obligations, more expensive routines. When expenses rise as quickly as income, the financial position remains unchanged despite years of hard work. Regularly reviewing long-term goals and maintaining intentional savings rates prevents this silent drift. Remember that dinner table conversation from the beginning? What you saw there was not reality. It was presentation. Everyone was sharing visible achievements, not invisible obligations, not the debts being repaid, not the financial stress quietly carried in the background. Comparing your full reality to someone else's highlights will always distort your perception. In the long run, your financial future isn't determined, by whether you matched someone else's milestone at 40. It's determined by the direction you move from this point forward. Someone with moderate savings and a strong contribution rate often surpasses someone who started earlier but stopped pushing forward. Velocity matters more than position when there is still time for compounding to work. 10 years from now, you'll either look back at this period as the moment you decided to become intentional about your finances, or you'll find yourself having the same anxious comparison at another dinner conversation. The difference won't come from luck. It will come from consistent actions taken during the years when your earning power is strongest. Financial confidence isn't built by impressing people across the table. It's built quietly, month after month, through deliberate contributions, skill growth, and disciplined decisions that few people notice in the moment. Velocity beats comparison. Consistency beats perfection. And your 40s might be the most powerful financial starting line you still have. If this perspective helped you rethink your financial timeline, subscribe and let's build the next decade intentionally.